Based on everything that we've been saying about Joe Burrow, 78% of his passes completed, 44 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, obviously a leading candidate for the Heisman. Then we look on the other side of the field, the quarterback that he's going up against an LSU defense that has been suspect at times. But, I mean, Fromm is only completing 62% of his passes. I'm worried about him against these boys.
Well, I tell you what, I think sometimes stats can be deceiving, and I think they really are. I think that he's brand new offense coordinator. His best receivers have been in and out this season, and to be honest, they haven't been that good. He's been working with, losing a bunch of guys to the NFL. I still think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the country, and he's the first quarterback to go to 3 straight SEC championships since Danny Werfel. That was in the early 90s. So you still got to look at this kid and say, he's been able to bring his team to a championship game 3 straight years. There's something special about that.
But, Tim, there is, like, a couple of years ago, it was Herbert and Fromm were the guys who people were talking about as pro prospects. And we can't sit here and pretend that our feeling about Fromm today is the same as it was a couple of years ago, right? So something's not matching up there.
Well, I'm just saying, when you look at the film, you look at that it's not all on Jake. Yeah, he's had a few struggles this year in some games. He didn't play his best against South Carolina, but he has been consistent. He's been a great leader for him, and he also hasn't had a lot of help. When you're playing Auburn and they go man-to-man almost every single play and your receivers don't win, there's not a lot of places to throw the ball. And I'm not saying it's all on his receivers. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. I also think it's based a little bit on play calling as well, but it's not just on Jake. See, a quarterback gets a lot of the praise and a lot of the criticism, and they usually should fall somewhere in between.
What chance does the Ohio State University have of being upset?
Slim to none. I mean, let's just be honest. Wisconsin can't run with them. Last time they got absolutely dominated every phase of the game. Ohio State is far superior athletes, a better scheme. Wisconsin, they're a tough team. They're a good team. They like to lean on you, but it does not work when the other team is as physical as you are. And so I think while there's a chance because it's a rivalry game, it's a championship game, I think that chance is very, very slim that Ohio State goes down to Wisconsin.
Tim Tebow, your buddy Paul Feinbaum was on this show early in the week, and he was talking about Alabama and specifically Nick Saban and how things he's still one of the great coaches in the game, but in terms of him being at the top, that ride has come to an end because of Kirby Smart, because of Ed Orgeron, because of Dabo Swinney. It is what it is. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I just don't agree with it. I love Paul, but I don't agree. I still think Alabama is one of the best programs in the country. Let's look at their season. They lost to 2 great teams. They lost to LSU, which a lot of people think is the best team in the country. They lost to them by 1 touchdown, and they had an injured quarterback in that game. Then they went to Jordan-Hare, one of the toughest places in the country to play against a rivalry game, with a backup quarterback, threw 2 pick sixes, missed a field goal, and then they lost by 3 on a fake punt.
In a game with bad calls that went against them, too.
A game of bad calls. I thought the end of the first half, I thought it was a horrendous call. So you still look at Alabama, and let's not just be biased against it. Let's look at it as a whole. That's still a really good team with a lot of the best college players in the country on it. And so, yeah, they're not first time they're not in a playoff. And in the history of the playoff, and we're going to say their dominance is done. I just think it's
not that you said they're still one of the best teams. Saban's one of the best coaches. I totally agree. And you're pointing to good evidence. But they've now lost 3 games when you go back to the national title game where they got destroyed. And it's like for how many years now has it been there's Saban and everyone else? There's Alabama and everyone else. What I think Feinbaum is saying is those days are over. What about that?
No, I still think that there's a chance. I mean, look, if we go back and look at history of their championships weren't all dominated. That's why he's won more national championships than he's won SEC, because it's hard to win the SEC. And there's only one time I can think about it when Alabama has been dominated in a game. It was last year's championship game against Clemson. Besides that, it's been either a great quarterback or a few missed kicks or a crazy play to upset them. So I still think that Alabama has a great road looking forward and a chance to win a lot more championships because they still have the best coaches, some of the best coaches, and they still have a lot of the best players.
Well, we'd be remiss in neglecting to have you on the show and not bring up Jim Harbaugh. At Michigan, 0-5 against Ohio State. That's what he's never been in a college football playoff. He's never, obviously, and he's never beaten Ohio State. Lost 4 times to Urban Meyer. Now he's losing to Ryan Day. By the way, and gave up 62 last year. Gave up 56 this go round. How should the college football world look at Jim Harbaugh in Michigan at this particular point in time?
Well, we talked about it last week, and I mentioned that if he lost the game, it would be the first coach for either one of these teams to ever lose 5 straight or ever go 0 for your first 5. So I think that's a huge knock, because when you look at big-time college football, it's built on rivalry games. It's built on competing against those in-state or cross-state rivals. And obviously, that's just not good enough. It really isn't. I think if you look at what he's done, he turned the program early and got excitement and got some recruits, and so he's doing some good things, but he's not winning the big game. And, I think for Michigan to get where they want to go, they have to figure out a way to win the big game, because I don't think winning 9 or 10 games and competing in an Outback Bowl.
Are we sure they want to? Because they might be, dare I say, Max, Tim, it might be to a point where we need to start asking that question. No matter how much Michigan chirps, what they really want to do is be competitive, get a 10-win season, and tease everybody into thinking that they're more relevant than they actually are in a national championship picture.
I don't think that's good enough for Michigan. I think the University of Michigan has a chance to compete for championships and titles, and I think anything less isn't good enough for Michigan. And that's my opinion about the program. I think they have a chance to be great. I think Harbaugh has got them close, but there's been something that is missing. I don't know what it is. Is it leadership? Is it motivation? Is it teaching?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.